Last week, we spent some time with the difference between starting over and beginning again. Starting over can feel like pressure. Beginning again can feel like permission. And once we give ourselves permission to begin again, the next question becomes, what now? What do we actually do from here? Because sometimes when we look at our life, our routine, our energy, our direction, we think, I need to change everything. The schedule, the habit, the plan, the way I start my mornings, the way I respond to stress, the way I move through the week. And before you know it, the whole thing feels like it's going to be way too big to accomplish. But what if a reset doesn't have to be dramatic like that? What if you don't need to overhaul your whole life? What if one small shift could change your direction? This week on Wandering But Not Lost, we're talking about one small shift. And not because small shift means insignificant, because small is often where real change begins. One small shift can change the whole tone of your morning. One small shift can interrupt an old pattern. One small shift can give you just enough space to make a different choice. One small shift can remind you that you're not stuck. You're allowed to realign gently. Sometimes we dismiss small shifts because we think they don't count. We tell ourselves, if I can't fix the whole routine, why bother? If I can't change everything, what difference will it end up making? If I'm still overwhelmed, then I must not be making progress. Those are all good questions and things that you always go back and kind of haunt yourself with. But that kind of thinking really keeps you frozen, because when change has to be big, it becomes really heavy. And when change becomes heavy, we often delay it. We wait for the perfect Monday, the perfect schedule, the perfect energy, the perfect version of ourselves to appear. But most of the time, change doesn't begin with perfect conditions. It begins with one honest adjustment. Think about walking. If you shift your direction by just a few degrees, you may not notice much in the first few steps, but over time, that small shift can lead to somewhere completely different. The same is true in your daily life. A small pause before reacting, a small pause before making that decision, a small boundary around your time, a small moment of quiet before the day begins, a small choice to return what really matters in your life. Now, none of those may look like they're dramatic from the outside, but they can change the way you move through the day. And sometimes that is exactly what we need. Not a whole new life, a new direction. One small shift might be, putting your phone across the room at night. Nothing better than getting that out of your arm's reach. Taking 3 breaths before you open, your mail or something that you're kind of dreading. Walking for 10 minutes before making the decision. Drinking water before coffee in the morning. Choosing one priority instead of carrying 10. Leaving 5 minutes earlier. Closing that screen 10 minutes sooner. Or saying to yourself, let me think about that, instead of immediately saying yes. Starting the morning with one honest question, what do I need today? These aren't huge changes, but they create space. And we talked about space last week. They create choice. They create a moment where you can pause, notice, realign, and then begin again. So here's a simple reset for the week. Pause and ask yourself, what feels heavier than it needs to right now? What feels heavier than it needs to right now? And then notice what keeps repeating. Is it a thought, a habit, a reaction? Maybe there's a schedule pattern, a place where you keep saying yes when you mean no. Then ask yourself, what's one small shift I can make this week? Not 5 shifts, not a total rebuild, just one. One small shift that supports your energy. One small shift that protects your clarity. One small shift that helps you move in a better direction. So before you move into the rest of your day, try this micro reset. Take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. Do a little breathing. Ask yourself, what is one small shift that would support me this week? And let that answer be simple. Let it be doable. Let it be yours. And then choose one step that helps you begin. It's kind of as easy as that. You don't have to change everything to change direction. You don't have to overhaul your life to return to yourself. Sometimes one small shift is enough to remind you that you have a choice. One breath, one pause, one walk, one boundary, one honest next step. So I invite you again to pause, notice, realign, and then begin again. Because you're wandering, but you're not lost.